Students, in this video, I'll be discussing about the process of transportation in plants. So, plants lack a definite transporting medium. Just like we have blood, plants do not have such a specific transporting medium. So, all the transportation in plants occur with the help of water. So, anything that needs to be transported in plants is transported in a solution form in water. So there are two specialized tissues, complex permanent tissue, which are involved in transportation in plants. One is xylem, the one is phloem. So quick recap of what are the components of xylem. Xylem has four types of cells: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Out of which tracheids, vessels, and fibers are dead cells. Parenchyma is a living cell. Fiber gives mechanical strength. Parenchyma forms the filling tissue or the supporting tissue. Transportation through xylem mainly occurs through tracheids and vessels. Phloem components are sieve tube cells, companion cells, parenchyma, and fibers, out of which sieve tube cells, companion cells, and parenchyma are living cells. Fibers are dead. So parenchyma is the supporting tissue. Fibers, they will provide the mechanical support, and transportation of organic molecules or food, you can say, takes place through the sieve tube cells, and companion cells helps in supporting the sieve tube cells in performing their function. So coming to the transportation, when you are talking about xylem transport, there are three factors which are responsible for xylem transport. First is root pressure. Now what is root pressure? So this is the cross section of a root. So from the soil, when water will enter into the root through the root hair by the process of osmosis. So when they will enter by the process of osmosis, there will be a certain amount of pressure, and that is called the root pressure or the osmotic pressure. Now with the help of that root pressure, the water will flow through the different layers of cells and ultimately reach the centrally located xylem. Xylem is the centrally located tissue. And with the help of this pressure, the water molecules, upon reaching the xylem, they will start traveling in the upward direction. But studies have shown that this root pressure is enough to send water only up through few feet, not beyond that. So this root pressure is not a major force for upward movement of water and minerals in case of tall plants. The second factor is capillarity. Now what is capillarity? Capillary tubes are tubes which have very fine diameter, and you know the relationship between area and pressure. Pressure is inversely proportional to area. So lesser is the area, more is the pressure. Suppose in a garden hose which we give water to the plants, if you press the mouth of the tube, what happens? Area becomes less, so the pressure of water increases. So same way, tracheids and vessels, these are hollow cellular tubes, and they have a very fine diameter which makes them behave like capillary tubes. So even this shape of the vessels and tracheids, it helps in increasing the pressure of water flowing through them. But again, it has been shown by studies that this capillary nature of the tracheids and vessel is not enough to push water up through tall trees. So what is the third factor? Let us have a look at the third factor. The third factor is the transpiration pull. Now what is transpiration? You know, transpiration is the loss of water as water vapor through the aerial parts of the plant. It can be through the stomata, it can be through the lenticels present in the stems and branches. So when water is lost as water vapor, what happens? We need to know two basic properties of water. One is the property of cohesion, another one is the property of adhesion. Now what is cohesion? If you place two water drops close by, very soon they will come and join with each other. That means they attract each other, water molecules. That is called cohesion. Adhesion means suppose water falls on a surface. Even after you wipe off the surface, the wipe off the water, the surface will still remain wet. That means water has a tendency to attach to the surface where it falls. So by the virtue of these two property, cohesion and adhesion, water molecules, they form a continuous column right from the roots up to the leaves, up to the edge of the leaves or the edge of the very fine veins. So what happens when the water is lost as water vapor? Then in the leaves there is creation of a partial vacuum. So due to this partial vacuum, what will happen? The entire column of water will be pulled in the upward direction. The entire column of water will be pulled in the upward direction. And studies have revealed that this transpiration pull is the major factor responsible for upward movement of water through xylem. And what creates transpiration? It is obviously the sun energy. Now if you look at all the three factors we have discussed, transpiration pull, osmotic or the root pressure and capillarity, plant is not playing an active role. Active role means it is not spending ATP energy. So it is a more or less a kind of passive flow. It is occurring like transpiration pull is occurring due to sunlight, energy from the sun. Then root pressure is developing due to osmosis, and capillarity is due to the shape of the cells. So this is the all about xylem transport. Next we come to phloem transport. Now what moves through phloem? You know, prepared food, mostly organic molecules, glucose whatsoever, they flow through phloem. Now how food mainly flows through phloem? So let us take this example. Suppose there is a leaf and this is the part of the stem, part of the plant where the food will be stored. So the part from where food is sent, that part is called the source, and the part to which food will be sent, that is called the sink. So initially, you know, by photosynthesis glucose is manufactured. This glucose is first converted into a double sugar, and the name of that double sugar is sucrose. So that sucrose will be actively loaded. I have written here active loading. So sucrose will be actively loaded into the phloem. Now where you find phloem? Phloem tissue is found surrounding the xylem tissue. So there will be active loading of sucrose into the phloem. As sucrose molecules gets loaded into the phloem, it will become hypertonic in nature. So more sugar. So what will the solution in the phloem do? It will pull more water from xylem into the phloem. So water will move from a region of dilute solution to a region of concentrated solution. As water moves in, the sugar will get converted into a solution and the pressure will build up. Due to that pressure, the sugar solution will start moving towards the sink. Upon reaching the sink, sucrose will be actively unloaded. I have written here active unloading. So sucrose will be actively unloaded and it will be converted into starch and it will be stored. So when sucrose is unloaded, what remains back? Water remains back. So the water will flow back into the xylem. So this is called the mass flow hypothesis because the sugar is moving en masse, not molecule by molecule. So it is also called mass flow hypothesis or pressure flow hypothesis because the flow is occurring due to the pressure being created here. So that is phloem transport. So why it is called active loading and active unloading? Because the energy required for this loading and unloading process is utilized in the form of ATP. So active loading using ATP, active unloading using ATP. And therefore, we come to understand that why phloem cells are living in nature, because they have to use ATP energy. If a cell is dead, it cannot use ATP energy. So that is how phloem transport occurs. I hope I have cleared your doubt regarding xylem and phloem transport. Thank you.